Swedish bomb squad detonates hand grenade in Malmo after cordoning off streets. Police said the bomb squad had detonated what they assessed to be a hand grenade in a controlled explosion, rendering it harmless after cordoning off several streets in Malmo, southern Sweden on Friday. Twins found to have different fathers in UK's first recorded case. On Saturday, May 2nd, 2026, national media outlets profiled the first legally and scientifically documented case in British history of twins born with different biological fathers. London sisters Michelle and Lavinia Osborne, now 49, discovered they are half siblings through independent DNA tests taken after harboring lifelong doubts about their paternity. The rare occurrence is the result of biological phenomenon known as heteropaternal superfecundation, which happens when a woman releases two eggs during a single cycle that are then fertilized by two different men in a short window of time. The sisters are among fewer than 20 cases of this type ever recorded worldwide, a discovery that was kept secret by their mother, who passed away in 2022, shortly after the test results were finalized. The twins shared their journey on the BBC Radio 4 series The Gift, revealing that they have since successfully tracked down and established relationships with their respective biological fathers, Arthur and Alex. Belgium to buy NC's nuclear assets in the country to secure energy supply. Belgian Prime Minister Bart de Wever announced that the government has begun negotiations to take over all nuclear activities managed by NC and its Electrabel subsidiary to reduce national energy supplies, to secure national energy supplies. Five of seven nuclear plants located in Doel near Antwerp in Tihange closed between 2022 and 2025, while two reactors remain active under licenses extend for 10 years until 2035. Decommissioning plans previously initiated by ECO had halted with immediate effect, the Wever confirmed, pending final agreement of negotiations expected to conclude in October. The agreements defines conditions for full takeover to reduce dependence on fossil imports and increase control over energy supply the way world. Global energy volatility exacerbated by Russia's invasion of Ukraine and the closure of the Strait of Hormuz has recentered nuclear power as critical component in Europe's energy security strategy. Ukrainian media publishes tapes of Zelensky associates in corruption sting. On Thursday, Ukrainska Pravda published the new Mindig tapes audio recordings intercepted in 2025 capturing conversations involving businessman Timur Mindig and top Ukrainian officials discussing corruption at state energy firm Energoatom. Two recordings emerged from NABU's Operation Midas, a 15-month investigation that uncovered a systemic bribery scheme collecting 10 to 15% of Energoatom's contractor payments, totaling approximately 100 million in laundered funds. Conversations allegedly saw Mindig and then Defense Minister Rustem Umerov discussing defense contracts, personal changes, and a potential 33% stake sale in Firepoint for 600 million, which Mindig allegedly seeking personal benefit. The Public Anti-Corruption Council called for Umerov's suspension on National Security and Defense Council Secretary on April 29th, while Prime Minister Ulla Svyrydenko announced comprehensive audits of state enterprises' procurement practices. President Volodymyr Zelensky faces significant political vulnerability as the scandal threatens Ukraine's independent anti-corruption institutions and undermines his 2019 campaign promise to fight graft, potentially becoming his presidency's biggest corruption scandal. Around 3,000 residents evacuated in Tuscany as winds fan forest fire. On Friday, Italian firefighters battled a large forest fire on Mount Faeta in Tuscany, active since Tuesday, forcing the evacuation of around 3,000 people. The blaze has scorched over 800 hectares across the provinces of Lucca and Pisa, likely provoked by olive tree prunings that got out of hand. San Giuliano team mayor Matteo Ceccarelli told RAI. Fierce winds brought the fire overnight, prompting precautionary evacuations. The Tuscany regional president Eugenio Gianni said Lucca deputy mayor Fabio Balsanti warned that the fire remains very much active. Three Canada firefighting planes have been deployed to support ground staff, scooping water from nearby sources, the National Fire Department said on X. Efforts to contain the perimeter continue, but authorities cannot make predictions as they remain at the mercy of the wind driving the flames across the region. Turkish police fire tear gas arrests hundreds at Istanbul May Day rallies. On Friday, Turkish police detained nearly 570 people during May Day demonstrations in Istanbul, employing tear gas and metal barricades to seal off central Taksim Square. The CHD lawyers associated reported authorities sealed off Taksim Square to prevent protests, recurring nearly early measures in Turkey amid economic strain. Independent estimates estimate place inflation closer to 40% higher than the official 30%. Police used tear gas against Marxist People's Liberation Party members, chanting USA murderer, the AKP accomplice. While images show Turkish Workers' Party President Erkan Bas engulfed in pepper spray. Union officials Basaran Aksu was arrested after denouncing the Taksim lockdown, fuming, "You can't close off a square to the workers of Turkey. Only the laborers, the workers, the poor find the square closed to them." Earlier this week, Turkish authorities issued warrants for 69 two people, deeming 46, including journalists and opposition figures, likely to carry out attacks, while in Ankara about 100 coal miners joined the May Day march. Gaza aid flotilla activists taken to Crete after Israeli interception. Over 100 pro-Palestinian activists on aid boats heading to Gaza were taken to Crete after Israeli forces seized their vessels in international waters near Greece. The incident occurred on Friday, according to flotilla organizers. The activists were part of the second global Sumud flotilla aiming to break Israel's blockade of Gaza by delivering humanitarian aid. The ships had departed from Barcelona, Spain on April 12. European Central Bank holds rates at 2% as inflation rises and Eurozone growth slows. On Thursday, the European Central Bank held its benchmark deposit facility rate at 2%, signaling potential interest rate hikes later this year while adopting a meeting-by-meeting approach to monetary policy. Eurozone inflation jumped to 3% this month, exceeding the bank's 2% target, and as the war in Iran pushed oil prices to four-year high, threatening a difficult inflation spiral. Underlying core inflation slowed 2.2 in April from 2.3, suggesting second round effects remain contained. The bank noted the upside risks to inflation and the downside risks to growth have intensified. The euro rose 0.2% to $1.17 following the decision, while the financial markets now anticipate rate increases in June and July as the ECB attempts to squash any political inflation spiral. Deutsche Bank economist Mark Warr noted that the ECB is not pre-committing to a specific rate path, though some analysts expect a 25 basis point increase in June to reach 2.25%. Iran offers new proposal amid stalled US peace talks. On April 13th, The US initiated a blockade that stranded Iranian oil tankers, forcing Iran to consider dramatic production cuts within 2 weeks due to limited storage capacity. During this first term, President Donald Trump hiked sanctions as part of maximum pressure campaign, though the effort failed to secure a nuclear deal with Tehran. Wood Mackenzie analysts estimate Iran will exhaust storage capacity in 3 weeks, with Alexandra Araman writing that if the blockade persists, cuts become inevitable. On Monday, Oil Minister Mohsen Paknejad praised the terminal staff for their continuous perseverance, while the U.S. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent claimed on X the blockade is collapsing the industry. Meet Maleki, former U.S. Treasury sanctions expert, warned that shutting down oil wells could cause irreversible damage and trigger new unrest among workers in operations halt. If operations halt. Kurdish military official says Turkey has stalled peace talks, blaming a lack of reforms. On Thursday, PKK founder Murat Karyalian declared the peace initiative with Turkey effectively frozen, accusing Ankara of failing to enact necessary legal and political reforms to advance the process. Last year, the PKK declared it would disarm following a call by imprisoned leader Abdullah Öcalan. A Turkish parliamentary committee's recommended reforms have stalled, and an April legislative deadline passed without any bill introduced. While Öcalan remains in solitary confinement on Imrali Island, Karaila noted that the PKK's internal mandate cannot advance, citing Turkish military operations in northern Iraq and detention of dozens of political prisoners. Zagros Hiva, spokesperson for the Kurdistan Communities Union, accused Ankara of instrumentalizing the process for political gain, contradicting Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan, who claimed peace efforts were moving in a positive atmosphere. The conflict, which has claimed tens of thousands of lives since 1984, faces precocious implications from the impasse with the PKK designed the terrorist organizations by Turkey, the United States, and the European Union. Ukrainian drones hit Russian port of Tuapse for the fourth time. On Friday, a fresh drone strike hit the Tuapse seaport terminal on the Black Sea, sparking a blaze but causing no injuries. Local officials said this marks the fourth attack on the port facility in the past week. Kyiv has intensified long-range aerial operations in recent weeks, aiming to cripple Moscow's primary war funding source. The Krasnodar region area has been under a state emergency since Tuesday, when a previous industrial incident cut production. Emergency crews, including 128 firefighters and 41 vehicles deployed to tackle the situation. Workers have cleared 12,600 cubic meters of contaminated materials from 5 coastal areas addressing the environmental impact of the repeated occurrences. Despite official claims, residents were advised by Rospotrebnadzor to avoid tap water due to elevated benzene levels. Benzene levels. One resident commented on Wednesday on a video of Anna Popova, head of Rospotrebnadzor, saying everything is safe and under control. Ukraine's military also targeted energy facilities near Perm and Orenburg, situated 1,500 kilometers from Ukraine in Ural Mountains. These coordinated assaults suggest an expanding campaign against Russian energy infrastructure deep within the country. King Charles III draws praise for diplomacy during US state visit with Trump. King Charles III conducted a US state visit that included formal meetings with Donald Trump, focusing on maintaining diplomatic relations between the two countries. The visit took place amid policy differences on issues such as climate change and international cooperation, which were addressed indirectly through broader messaging. Observers viewed the trip as an effort to reinforce long-standing alliances while navigating political sensitivities in a divided policy environment. Russia warns European states against hosting French nuclear bomber planes. On Thursday, Russian Deputy Foreign Minister Alexander Grushko warned that any European state hosting French nuclear-capable strategic bombers would become a target for Moscow in the event of major conflict. France and Poland are preparing to join drills simulating nuclear strikes using Dassault Rafale aircraft against targets in Russia and Belarus or the Baltic Sea and northern Poland. French President Emmanuel Macron announced in March plans to expand France's nuclear arsenal, and Polish Prime Minister Donald Tusk said Warsaw joined an exclusive group to ensure its own security. Kremlin spokesman Dmitry Peskov condemned the collaboration as further militarization and nuclearization of Europe, characterizing it as uncontrolled buildup that weakens host state security. Cooperation organized outside standard NATO bureaucracy signals a potential shift in European defense architecture, though officials emphasize no permanent stationing of French nuclear warheads is planned. EU-Mercosur trade deal takes provisional effect, boosting hopes and concerns for millions. The European Union and Mercosur began provisionally applying the EU-Mercosur agreement today on May 1st, 2026, aiming to aid exporters despite the ongoing criticism that the shadow of President Donald Trump's tariffs. Backers, including Germany and Spain, view the agreement as a way to offset Trump's tariffs and reduce reliance for China for critical minerals over 25 years of negotiations. While the European Commission expects the deal to boost GDP by 0.05% by 2040, France and other critics warn it could increase imports of cheap beef and sugar, harming domestic farmers. Despite the European Parliament voting in January to challenge the deal in the top court, a process that could take 2 years, the European Commission decided to proceed with provisional application today. As the European Union rushes to secure deals with India, Indonesia, Australia, and Mexico to counter Trump's protectionism, economists caution that gains from this pact and others concluded in recent months will be modest. Trump mulls US troop cuts in Italy, Spain over Iran war. On Tuesday, President Trump said, probably when asked if he would withdraw US troops from Italy and Spain, citing their lack of support for operations against Iran. The administration's frustration stems from Spain's refusal to allow US military access to bases for Iran missions, while Trump has criticized Italian Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni for lacking courage. As of December 21st, 2025, 12,662 US troops were based in Italy and 3,814 in Spain, contributing to over 68,000 personnel in Europe, while Trump reviews force reductions in Germany. An international Pentagon report outlined options for the United States to punish NATO allies failing to support operations, including potentially suspending Spain from the alliance. Trump has also lambasted allies for failing to secure the Strait of Hormuz for oil tankers and for not increasing defense spending while considering withdrawing from NATO entirely. Okay, maybe that's enough.